Shabbat Shalom. You know, as I look out at this congregation, I am reminded of SeaWorld, which also has a splash zone that everyone is warned to stay behind. So kudos to you guys for practicing that here. You can't be too safe. I guess that's why they call it a safer Torah, Rabbi. There are many things to love and admire about the Torah. But this week, the two things that I'm struck by most is that the Torah does not avoid uncomfortable subjects. It raises real issues of human trauma and struggle without cleaning it up. And the other thing that the Torah does so brilliantly is present the challenge without resolving it. The action, it turns out, is all in the discussion. And you cannot read the Torah passively. The Torah demands that you react. This is terrible. This is wonderful. I wonder what they're getting at here. You can't simply sit back and let the Torah flow. You have to engage. The Mishnah, earliest book of rabbinic law, teaches us that whenever two people wrestle with Torah, that Shekhinah, God's presence, dwells between them. It's not in the book, it's in the wrestling with the book that the divine emerges. And so I want to share with you that, for me at least, each year I read the Torah and I see things in it that I had not seen previously. The Torah always meets you where you are. And this year what I noticed is that a person who is afflicted with sara'at, some kind of skin disease, is commanded to cover themselves, veil themselves, and walk through the town shouting, "Tameh, Tameh," impure, impure. And the passage concludes that that person may not enter the camp, may not enter the physical barriers of the community. We all know how terrifying it is to discover that your body has erupted in some kind of disease which has a name but little control. It takes very little to bump us off of the pedestal of thinking we are in control of our own lives, to remind us that against our will we were born, against our will we live, and against our will we die. We are profoundly fragile and vulnerable because we are creatures. But imagine that poor person in antiquity who wakes up to the growing realization that that discoloration of their skin isn't going away, to the point where others start to notice and say, "You better bring in a Kohen." And then the Kohen gives them the dread diagnosis: this is not something mild, this is sara'at. And then the social implications kick in. You're no longer a member of the community. You now have to live outside of your house, outside of your normal routine, segregated and away from all the people you love and the life that you lived. And as if that isn't enough, you have to cover yourself because society says there's something wrong with the way you look, and it's your job to not inflict that on anyone else. And as if that isn't enough, then on top of that, you have to warn people that you're coming. And not by saying, "I'm coming," but by saying the most dreaded word in the Jewish ritual system, tameh. I have the human equivalent of cooties. Stay away from me. This year I read that and my heart broke, because this is not ancient history. This is how people react to fear and difference in every age. Someone who doesn't appear the way we expect them to, someone who doesn't behave the way we expect them to, someone who carries a dread diagnosis that we can't guarantee we won't catch. And I think if we're honest with ourselves, all of us, our first reaction is go away. I don't want to see it. I don't want to deal with it. And that it, I remind you, is a you, a someone, reduced simply to an object of fear and exclusion and scorn. The rabbis try to make sense of this in a pre-biology period. They say that Metzora is an abbreviation of Motzi Shem Ra, someone who gossiped, which I will tell you applies to other Jewish congregations. I'm sure nobody here. It was inconceivable to the rabbis that somebody would suffer in this way without having caused it. There has to be in the universe a fairness so that there are consequences to actions and there aren't simply random outpourings of chaos. That is the ultimate threat. So not only is the person sick, excluded, and blamed, but it's their fault. You must have done something for this to have happened. We do that in our culture too. Don't ever get sick, because people will start looking at how much you eat, how much you exercise, so that they can tell you it's your fault, and then they can assure themselves it won't happen to them. It's human nature. But the Talmud has a different response that I want to share with you, because it offers for me a capacity of compassion and hope that I think we all need to strive for, especially now. It says that what the person is doing by shouting out Tameh, Tameh, is to say, I can't do this without your help. I'm alerting you to the fact that I am vulnerable, I am afraid, I am alone, and I need you to pierce my loneliness. I need you to do the work of helping me to find a new normal. The call isn't go away. The call is don't look away. Don't pretend you don't see me. Don't ignore the suffering that presents itself to you. Each person is carrying an enormous burden. And I can tell you, we'll talk about this tomorrow, but as the father of someone with special needs, I have learned that the polite thing to do in American society is ignore it. Pretend you don't hear or see the person in front of you whose behavior you don't understand. But that renders the person invisible. It compounds their suffering. We are commanded instead to circumcise our hearts, to remove the hard outer crust that allows us to ignore the world around us. We are instead commanded to rip that off so that nothing gets between us and life, between our heart and compassion. The system the Torah demands is one in which no one is invisible. And once you see someone, once you look them in the eye, then you cannot ignore their humanity beyond that point. There is an implicit imperative to respond, to reach out, to ameliorate, and to care. And so this poor person comes to us across the ages of antiquity to ask, who is in our midst from whom we have averted our gaze, from whom it's easier to simply not see and therefore not do anything? It's a cheap defense, and it's futile, because if you think that by ignoring the suffering of others you can shield yourself from the suffering, well, I have some bad news for you. We're none of us going to get out of here alive. So you may at the moment think that all is okay with you, but I'm bringing you future events. At some point, you will rely on the compassion of others. You will turn to the community and hope that it doesn't cast you out, but that instead it offers you an embrace and a lift. So now, before that day has arrived, at which point you also will be marginalized and ignored, while people will still listen to you, now hear the voice calling out impure and do something. Shabbat Shalom.